Hi, this is Eric Pullon. I'm the host of the Rolling a Little Down the Road podcast. This is the second episode in a series of episodes. I thank you so much for listening. Coming to you live from beautiful city of Las Vegas, Nevada. This time around, I want to talk about mountains. I've had a lot of connections with mountains in my lifetime. I was born in Dayton, Ohio. I grew up in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, starting at a very early age, from about kindergarten age, all the way up till probably in the late 90s or so. And lots of times the Bible talks a lot about mountains. Lots of times when we're going along in our Christian life, and we come across an obstacle that can be considered as a mountain. Mark 11:23 says, "Whoever shall say unto this mountain, Be thou moved, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, shall not doubt in his heart." But also there's a thing that talks about backsliding. And I mentioned in my first episode when I did this podcast, probably it's been over a month ago now, that sometimes backsliding can be like you receive Christ into your heart and you feel like your sins are forgiven, but then you turn back to your old ways. Lots of times I think the Baptists, which I'm familiar with, going to a Baptist school most of my high school life, they talked about backsliding. James 5:19 through 20 says, "Brethren, if anyone among you wanders or backslides from the truth, and someone turns him back, let him know that he who turns a sinner from the error of his ways will save a soul from death and uncover a multitude of sins." So mountains can be something that gets in the way that we have to cross over. Or mountains can be, we're up on the mountain, we're up on our high peak because we've accepted Jesus into our heart. And we think everything's, hunky-dory and everything. But you always wind up getting, the devil always sneaks up on you and tempts you to backslide. And so basically, you're up on top of the mountain, you backslide, you'll slide down the mountain back into your sinful life. So, anyhow, I was wanting to talk about mountains. One thing I love about this area of the country, Las Vegas, Nevada, is we have mountains out here. They may not be quite like the Smoky Mountains where I grew up in, but I remember years ago when I was a kid, this is back before I had my spine surgeries and I could actually walk, my parents used to go hiking a lot, especially in the Smoky Mountains. We used to hike up to fire towers, or we'd just hike up to waterfalls, or we'd hike, it would be like a day hike. Sometimes we would start out early in the morning and we'd hike all the way till it started to get dark. My dad used to hike a lot of areas in the Great Smoky Mountains. And I remember one time, lived in a little town of about 300 people called Townsend, Tennessee. That's in the western part of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, close to Gatlinburg, for many of you that have maybe been in that area. I would always look out my window of my bedroom and there would be this mountain, not a very big mountain, but a small mountain behind my house and behind the subdivision that we lived in. And I noticed one day there was it looked like a TV tower that had been built on that mountain. And I kept telling my mom, I said, let's go try to find our way up to that tower. So we set off one day and walked back to the foot of the mountain, couldn't find a road up there, so we just started grabbing onto trees and everything we could grab onto, and we probably took more than an hour. We just pulled our way up the mountain, just hanging on the trees, branches, anything we could hang on to keep from sliding backwards down the mountain. And I can't even remember if we had ropes or anything to help us. I think we just had our bare hands just to grab onto stuff. And a little over an hour in, we got up to the top of the mountain. My mom says, I see some satellite dishes up here. I see a building. I see a tower. And then I found out that was the hub for the local cable system. I never knew where it was. Well, after we got up to the top of the mountain, we were kind of worn out. We took a little bit of a break, took some pictures of the nice view, and then we found a road a maintenance road that went down the mountain. And if we would have known about it, it came out right in the back of our subdivision. But we didn't know that road existed at the time. And other times my parents would hike up to fire towers, waterfalls. I don't know if you've ever heard close to Gatlinburg, there's these two rocks called the chimney tops. My parents took me up there one time. I wish I was in the shape now to be able to hike up mountains, but I'm confined, or not confined, but I use a power chair, and so it's a little bit hard. It'd probably wear my battery down in like 5 or 10 minutes if I tried to go up a mountain in my chair. Anyhow, kind of up to date you on what I've been doing lately, what I've been listening to. I don't know if many of you are familiar with the televangelist family back in the 80s, Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. They started a network back in 1974 in Charlotte, North Carolina, called the PTL Network. And they were the ones that you probably remember. They did the movie on HBO about the eyes of Tammy Faye, where Andrew Garfield and Jessica Chastain starred. They played Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. They were the ones that suffered a scandal, and they wound up losing their network. And Jim is actually still living. Tammy Faye passed away in, I want to say, 2007 due to colon cancer. I met them one time. They actually, back when they had their network in Charlotte, and they were building a Christian theme park at the time, my parents took me actually to see that. It was like a modern-day Disney World with a Christian theme to it. They actually had a house on the side of a mountain in Gatlinburg, and they were visiting town one time, and I can't remember where this was, but we had the chance to meet them. And Tammy was very nice and down home. Jim was kind of quiet, but I met them at the time. But anyhow, lately I've been listening to Jim and Tammy's one and only son. His name is Jamie Charles, but he actually now goes by Jay Baker. He runs several churches that go under the name Revolution Church. I think one's in New York, but the one that he runs is in Seattle, and I've been listening to his podcast a lot. Anyhow, let's see, what else have I been doing? Not a whole lot of anything. Just kind of enjoying Vegas, still enjoying the nice warm weather. Oh, and by the way, as I'm recording this, today is the 25th of August. So you know what that means? 4 months from today, we'll be getting out the Christmas records, putting up the tree, going and flooding the malls, getting Christmas presents, and then, of course, it'll be cold. I don't even want to think about it. But anyhow, I'm kind of running out of things to say here. wanted to kind of cover the thing about mountains, and then, of course, talk about the podcast I've been listening to. Hopefully you support my podcast here. I'm going to try to be a little bit more frequent in recording these. Might bring my wife Leanne on too as a guest. And of course, she and I do a podcast of our own together called the LV Little Soulmates Podcast. You can also find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart. I haven't been able to get this one publicized on Apple yet for some wild reason. I think my settings are wrong or something, but I'll work on that in the coming weeks. Anyhow, if you'd like to get a hold of me, if you'd like to support or help support my podcast, I have a PayPal account under the email membersonlyradioshow@gmail.com. No spaces, it's just membersonlyradioshow@gmail.com. Feel free to PayPal me there. I also have Cash App under the name Eric Pullon. You can reach me on Facebook under the name www.facebook.com/Pullon65. I'm on Instagram under the name at Eric Pullon65. Snapchat for whoever's on that. It's just Eric Pullon, no spaces. EricPullon. I don't go on Snapchat very much. I'm too old for Snapchat. The only reason I got on there was because of the fancy filters they had, and my youngest daughter was on Snapchat. But anyhow, keep in touch with me. Give me your view of what you think of the podcast. I'd appreciate any input that you may have. And I look forward to seeing you next time. So God bless until we meet again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.